John Carter had been working in the asteroid mines for over 6 months. It was dirty, lonely, and dangerous work. His hands were calloused. His lungs hurt from dust. But now, he finally had 3 days off. He didn't want to waste them. So, when he arrived on Zaraxis Prime, the most luxurious space station in Sector 7, he had only one thing on his mind: a proper meal. Not ration bars, not recycled protein. He wanted something real. He walked through the golden corridors of the upper district, his boots thudding against the polished floors. Neon lights blinked in alien symbols. Floating droids buzzed past. Everything smelled like money and perfume. Then he saw the sign. The Crimson Table, intergalactic gourmet for the elite. It was way above his pay grade. But after all, he'd survived, John thought. Why not treat myself just once? Inside, the restaurant was silent and dim, filled with music from a stringed alien instrument. Creatures from across the galaxy sat at crystal tables, sipping glowing drinks. A four-armed host bowed as John entered. "Table for one?" the host asked, smiling with sharp teeth. John nodded and sat. The menu was on a hovering screen. He scrolled past dozens of alien dishes until he saw it. Zarnik Prime Steak, ultra rare, custom prepared, the description said. Prepared live and fresh for optimal taste, served at table. Satisfaction guaranteed? John chuckled. Probably a fancy way of saying they don't overcook it. He pressed order. The host bowed again. "Please wait. Your dish is being prepared." 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Suddenly the lights dimmed more. A soft alarm chime played. Like a ceremony. 2 large alien waiters approached. Between them floated a silver tray hovering above the ground. It shimmered with cold mist. The tray lowered onto his table with a soft clink. The waiter smiled. "Your steak, sir." As requested, ultra rare. John looked. His eyes widened. His mouth went dry. It wasn't a steak. It wasn't meat. It was a girl, a young alien girl, barely conscious, was curled up on the cold plate. She was small, maybe 15 or 16 in human years. Her skin was pale lavender. Her silver-white hair was tangled. She wore only a thin wrap that barely covered her. Strange glowing marks were visible on her arms and neck. A silver collar blinked with red lights. She looked up at John with wide, terrified eyes. What? John stammered. The waiter bowed calmly. "This is your custom protein selection. Fresh, from our private genetic tanks, fully legal." John stood up. "She's alive." "Yes," the waiter said with a nod. "That's the experience. Most of our elite guests prefer their meals. Aware." John stared at the girl. She flinched under his gaze, shaking. She was whispering something. He couldn't understand the language, but it sounded like, "Don't hurt me. This is sick," John said, voice shaking. "She's not food. She's a person." "She's property," the waiter replied. Coldly, "You paid for the experience. If you do not wish to consume it, we can recycle the product." "Nitrogen monoxide!" John shouted. Every head in the restaurant turned. He took off his coat and quickly wrapped it around the girl. She whimpered and grabbed onto his shirt, like a child holding onto her only hope. "You can't take her," the waiter said, now angry. "That is theft." "Then call it theft," John snapped. He lifted the girl into his arms. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. She buried her face into his chest, still shaking. He pushed past the waiters and walked out fast. Alarms didn't go off yet, but he could feel eyes on him, whispers behind. Someone was calling security. He didn't care. In that moment, he knew only one thing: he was not leaving her behind. As he moved into the crowded corridors of Zaraxis Prime, blending into the crowd, the girl whispered again, this time clearer, human. "Thank you." Asterisk third person. Simple English, unique version, 800+ words. John didn't know how he made it out of the restaurant. One moment, he was lifting the girl from that horrifying plate. The next, he was running through the glowing corridors of Zaraxis Prime, his coat wrapped tightly around her shivering body. Her arms clung to his neck. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just held on like she was afraid he would vanish any second. The moment they turned into a quiet maintenance tunnel, John stopped to catch his breath. His heart was pounding, his mind was racing. Had he really just stolen someone? No, not someone. Something they said. No, he thought. She's not a thing. He knelt beside her. Hey, die. Can you understand me? The girl blinked. Her eyes were large and silver, glowing faintly in the low light. She tilted her head like she was trying to study him. Her lips moved, but the words weren't English. Her voice was soft, shaking. John pointed at himself. John, my name's John, he pointed to her. You? She looked down. Her hand reached up slowly and touched the silver collar around her neck. It had blinking lights, alien symbols. And a barcode. Just a number. No name. Just a number. John frowned. You don't have a name, do you? She looked away. He unwrapped the coat just enough to check her condition. Her body was thin. Almost too thin. Her skin was a beautiful shade of light violet, but he could see bruises, faint, old ones on her shoulders and back. There were tiny burn marks near the collar. It was clearly meant for control. This wasn't just some clone grown in a tank. This girl had been hurt, trained, broken. Who would do something like this? He reached for the collar. The moment his fingers touched it, a spark flew out and burned his skin. Damn! He hissed, pulling back. The girl panicked, grabbing his hand, and shaking her head quickly as if begging him not to try again. It shocks you? John asked gently. She nodded. That's when John knew this wasn't an accident. She wasn't born in a lab for food. She was created and tortured. A low hum echoed through the corridor. John turned. A security drone hovered into view, scanning. The hallway, unauthorized life sign detected. Please present identity. John stood, shielding the girl behind him. No problem, just passing through. The drone scanned again. Unregistered bioform detected. Surrender the asset for processing. John clenched his fists. She's not an asset. She's a person. Last warning, prepare for stun. Before it could act, the girl stood up behind John. She placed a hand on his arm. Then, with her other hand, she raised her palm toward the drone. The symbols on her skin began to glow brighter than before. The drone flickered. Its lights blinked. Sparks flew from its sides, and then it shut down. John stared, stunned. She looked at him, her silver eyes calm, as if to say, I'm not helpless. Okay, John said slowly. You just fried a military drone with your hand. That's new. She gave a small, tired smile. All right. I really need answers now? He took her to an old part of the station-level D9 where the lights flickered and Law didn't reach. An old friend of his, Dr. Max, lived here, ex-geneticist, fired for illegal research. The perfect guy to figure out what the hell she was. When Max saw the girl, his face turned pale. Oh no, he whispered. Where did you get her? John frowned. She was on my dinner plate, Max cursed in 3 alien languages. That's not just a clone. That's a prototype. You don't know what you're holding? What is she? John asked. Max brought out his scanner and hovered it over her body. The device buzzed, beeped, then went silent. He stared at the screen, eyes wide. She's not just organic, her DNA. It's part biological, part ancient tech. There's a royal coding here, Forbidden's code. Royal? John repeated. Max nodded. She's something lost, something powerful. Whoever made her didn't want a pet or food. They wanted a key. A key to what? Max looked scared now. To something very, very old and very dangerous. The girl sat quietly, watching them both. Then, for the first time, she pointed at herself and said softly, Nova? John blinked. Is that your name? She nodded slowly. Nova. John smiled faintly. Well, Nova, looks like you and I are in deep trouble. John watched the broadcast from the shadows of an old cargo dock. He pulled his hood lower. Nova sat beside him, wrapped in a blanket. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The look in her eyes said it all: fear, confusion, and trust. John looked at her, then at the screen again. 500,000. Just for taking you out of a dinner tray? Nova tilted her head. She didn't fully understand his words, but she understood his voice. She placed a hand gently on his arm as if to say, "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Not your fault. But someone out there wants you back badly, and they don't care how." Suddenly a loud metal bang echoed across the dock. John stood up instantly, pulling Nova behind a crate. 2 bounty hunters entered, tall, armed, eyes glowing red. One was a lizard-like alien with mechanical arms. The other was a spider-shaped female with a scanner built into her face. "They're close," the spider hissed. "Fresh scent, human, and something engineered." John held his breath. Nova's hand began to glow faintly again, but he shook his head. "Not now," he whispered. "We run." They moved silently through crates and shadows. John had worked cargo stations before he knew where the blind spots were. But Nova she was. Fast, light, and somehow always one step ahead. They slipped through a trash chute, falling into a dark tunnel below. Cold, wet, and stinking of chemical waste, but safe for now. Hours later, they reached the underbelly of the station Sector 13, a place even bounty hunters didn't like to visit. This zone was run by smugglers, hackers, and black market tech. Dealers perfect for hiding. John knocked on a steel hatch. A small eye slot opened, a robotic voice spoke. "Password?" John answered. "Red sand, black sky." The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a neon-lit tech shop full of broken machines and illegal tools. At the back stood Kara, a cyber hacker with half her skull replaced by glass wires. She looked at Nova, then raised an eyebrow at John. "You stole from Crimson Table? You have a death wish?" "I saved her," John replied. Kara scoffed. "You're not a hero, Carter. You're a fool." "Maybe, but I need help." "I need that." "Collar off her neck. Can you crack it?" Kara stared at Nova for a long moment. The collar blinked like it was watching them. "This isn't just a tracker, it's a living lock. Alien biotech probably bonded to her nervous system. If I mess up, it could fry her brain." Nova looked at Kara, then she touched the collar with her own hand. The lights flickered, turned blue, then dimmed. Kara stepped back. "What the hell?" John whispered. She's not like others. She does things." She shut down a drone with her hand. Kira looked nervous now. "Carter, whatever she is, someone built her for more than just display. You need to get off this station now." As they prepared to leave, Kira connected John's datapad to the underground network. The screen flickered. A message played, marked encrypted. It showed a shadowy alien face. Male, cold eyes. "To all hunters, do not capture the asset alive. The prototype must not fall into human hands, terminate on sight." John clenched his jaw. "They don't want her back. They want her gone." Nova looked at him, eyes wide. She may not have understood the words, but she understood the danger. John stood. "We need a ship." Kira nodded. "Dock 7, there's a junker you can steal. Doesn't look like much, but it flies." As they left, Nova paused. She picked up a small mirror from Kara's table. She looked into it. For the first time, she saw her face fully. She touched her cheek, her glowing marks, her silver eyes, and softly she whispered almost to herself, "Why me?" John heard her. He didn't have an answer, but he made a silent promise, whatever she is. "No one will hurt her again. Third person. Unique style, simple basic English, 800 words. The ship was old, rusted, cracked windows. One engine sparked when it powered up. It flew. John and Nova sat inside the small cockpit, floating away from Xerax's prime. Behind them, the stars slowly shifted as the station vanished into the dark. Nova stared through the glass. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. John noticed it. He didn't say anything. For now, she was safe, but for how long? They stopped on a hidden asteroid base known as Hollow Drift, a black market pit, where nobody asked questions as long as you paid in credits or weapons. John's old contact lived there. A retired geneticist and rebel scientist named Dr. Solon Vec. Vec was human, but barely. Half his body had been replaced with alien tech after a lab explosion. His voice crackled like a broken speaker, but his mind? Still sharp. When John showed Nova to him, Vec's eyes widened. He didn't ask questions, he didn't judge. He simply Sighed, put her on the scanner, now. Nova hesitated, but trusted John. She climbed onto the bio table. Machines buzzed. Lights blinked. Needles moved, but didn't touch her, then... Silence. Vec stared at the data. For a long time, he didn't say a word. John finally asked, "Well, what is she?" Vec turned. His metal jaw clicked. "She's a miracle." Nova sat up. "Miracle?" Vec nodded. "Your DNA isn't just alien, it's mixed, carefully, like art. You have blood from at least 4 species, some extinct, some forbiddens." John frowned. "What do you mean, forbiddens?" Vec tapped the screen. "And there's a gene in her spine. I've only seen it once before. Ancient royal line, it's like a master key lockbreaker. Some say it can open lost alien tech. Some say it connects to machines directly. But that's not all." He looked at Nova again. "You weren't born. You were written. Grown inside a sacred lab. They didn't make you to eat. They made you to awaken something?" Nova looked confused. "Something? Like what?" Vec's screen showed a dark image, a planet locked in red symbols, floating in unmarked space. Legends call it the Core Vault. No one has opened it for 10,000 years, but many have tried. Your body, your blood. Maybe the final code. John's eyes widened. So they didn't want her because she escaped the restaurant. They want her because she's a key? Vec nodded. And a threat. Nova touched her chest. "I didn't ask for this." Her voice cracked. For the first time, her calm broke. She looked at John with teary eyes. "I didn't want to be special. I didn't want to be ... made." John knelt beside her. "You may have been created. But the choices you make now, they're yours, not theirs." She looked down. Her hands were glowing again, brighter now. "But this time, not in fear, in resolve," she whispered. "Then I'll choose to fight." But they didn't have much time. Alarms sounded across the base. Vic looked at the scanners. "They found you. The ones who made her, they're not just scientists. They're hunters, and they're here." John grabbed his blaster. "How many?" "Too many." Nova stood. Her skin lit up like a galaxy map. Glowing lines ran across her arms, chest, even her face. "I'll stop them," she said softly. John turned to her. "Nova, no." "They'll kill you." She looked at him, calm now. "Not if I unlock myself first," Vec shouted. "No. If you activate those codes without stabilizing, your body could collapse. You're still growing. You're not ready." Nova looked back one last time. "Then let me become ready." She stepped forward as the door exploded inward. Smoke, fire, shadows, alien. Soldiers in black armor stormed in, lasers pointed, voices shouting, "Surrender the prototype!" Nova raised her hand. The symbols on her skin glowed. White dash hot dot. The room shook. Machines froze. Time itself seemed to pause. And then every weapon in the room powered. Down. One by one. Silence. The soldiers dropped their guns, terrified. They looked at her like she was a god. John watched, breathless. Nova turned to him. "I remember now," she whispered, "who I was meant to be. But I choose who I'll become." The room was frozen in silence. Soldiers stood still, eyes wide, weapons cold in their hands. The glow from Nova's body painted the walls with soft white light. Her breathing was steady now. Calm, controlled. John could feel it. She had changed. She was no longer the scared girl from the dinner plate. She was something powerful, something ancient. And now, awake. Dr. Vec was the first to move. He backed away slowly, speaking through his crackling voice modulator. "Her neural network, it's fully online. She's unlocked herself." John stood close to Nova. "Are you okay?" She turned to him, her silver eyes glowing. "I'm ready." Before John could reply, the far wall suddenly exploded. Boom. Smoke, dust, metal shrapnel everywhere. From the fire walked in a tall alien figure, black armor, long crimson cape, and a glowing weapon shaped like a staff. John stepped forward with his blaster. "Who the hell are you?" The figure spoke. "Collector Jorak, I was promised a perfect prototype. And what do I find? A human holding my creation." Nova stepped forward beside John. You don't own me. Jorik raised an eyebrow. You were built to serve the vault, not think, not feel. Certainly not fall into the hands of a lesser species. John aimed his blaster. I've had enough of people calling humans lesser. Jorik snapped his fingers. All hell broke. Loose, more soldiers rushed in, this time in heavy armor. The lights flickered as sonic charges were launched into the lab. Sparks flew. Machines shattered. John fired his blaster, taking out 2 soldiers before ducking behind cover. Nova stood still in the middle of chaos. Her eyes glowed brighter. She raised both hands. The air cracked. A sudden shockwave exploded from her, sending armored soldiers flying across the room like dolls. Dr. Vex screamed, "You'll bring the whole base down!" The walls cracked. Alarm screamed. Jorak pushed forward, activating a gravity field. Submit, prototype! Nova's body trembled under the pressure, but she didn't fall. She looked at John. Run. He shook his head. Not without you. Then she did something. Unexpected, she reached out and touched his chest. A glow passed into him. And in that moment, John saw something. Not just memories. Visions. A city buried under a dead planet. Machines locked for ages. Doors waiting to open. And her standing in front of them, leading humans. John gasped. That's your future? Nova nodded. Ours. They ran through burning tunnels, exploding walls. Sirens howling. Nova used her powers to freeze doors and crash security drones. John laid cover fire while leading her toward the hangar bay. But Jorik wasn't done. He activated a kill drone, an AI war machine from the old wars. It dropped from the ceiling, claws clicking, eyes burning red. It chased them, fast. John yelled, "Nova, go!" But she turned, faced it, and said one word, "Sleep?" The drone stopped. Froze. Shut down completely. John blinked. How did you? She was made to control machines. Dr. Vex's voice crackled through John's cum. She doesn't destroy them. She commands them. They reached the hangar bay, but there was a problem. The ship was surrounded. Soldiers, cannons, energy shields. Jorak stood at the center, calm, confident. Give her to me and I will let you live. John stepped forward, Nova behind him. I don't think you understand something. John said, I didn't come this far to hand her over. Nova raised her hands again, but this time John placed his hand over hers. Let me help. Nova looked into his eyes. Something changed. Together, their energy pulsed. A beam of light exploded outward, disabling all enemy weapons at once. Jorak fell to one knee, shielding his face. John grabbed Nova's hand and pulled her toward the ship. Now! They boarded. The ship roared to life. John took the controls. Nova sat beside him, eyes locked on the fire behind them. As they blasted out of the hangar, the base exploded in flames. Behind them, Collector Jorik stood in the fire, eyes burning with fury. This isn't over, he growled inside the ship. Safe in space again, John leaned back in his seat. Nova looked at him. You helped me escape. He smiled. You helped me feel alive. She reached out, gently touched his hand, and for the first time since the nightmare began, she smiled. The stars outside the ship moved slowly, like glowing fireflies in deep space. Inside, all was quiet. For the first time in days, John and Nova were no longer running. No more soldiers, no more explosions, just silence. And each other. Nova sat near the front window, her knees pulled close to her chest. Her silver-white hair fell around her shoulders, glowing slightly in the dim lights of the ship. Her collar was gone now. John had removed it after they escaped, but even without chains, she still looked like a prisoner of her past, of herself. Brought her a cup of warm broth. It's not steak, he joked, trying to lighten the mood, but it's edible. She gave him a small smile and took it carefully. Her hands were still trembling. He sat across from her. No one spoke for a while. Then she whispered, Do all humans care like you? John looked at her. No, some would have walked away. Some might have eaten that steak without looking twice. Then, why didn't you? He paused. That question had haunted him since the beginning. I don't know, he said honestly. Maybe because when I looked at you, I didn't see food. I saw someone scared. Alone, someone who deserved a chance. Nova stared at her reflection in the window. I wasn't supposed to think or feel. They created me for a purpose, a plan, and I failed it, I escaped it. Good, John said softly. You don't have to follow their plan, you can make your own. She turned to him. Can I? What am I now, without their code? Without their purpose? John smiled gently. You're Nova, that's more than enough. She stood and walked to the center of the room. Slowly, she raised her glowing hands and let the energy flow softly around her body. It still lives inside me, she whispered. The code, the commands, the door inside my mind. It's still locked, but I can feel it opening. John stood up. You're afraid it will take over? She nodded. Yes, what if I lose myself? John stepped closer. Then I'll be there to bring you back. Her eyes shimmered, not with power, but with something far more human. Tears. I've never had someone say that to me before. Then let it be the first of many, he said, gently wiping her cheek. You're not alone anymore? Later that night, Nova slept on a soft cot while John kept watch. He sat by the controls, staring at a small holophoto of Earth. He hadn't seen home in over 2 years. Never had a reason to return. Now he had one. He looked back at her sleeping form. She was meant to be a weapon. But all he saw was a girl who just wanted to live. Suddenly, a soft click echoed from the ship's internal systems. A hidden message appeared on the monitor, encrypted, ancient language. John frowned. Where did this come from? Nova woke up. She walked slowly toward the screen, her eyes glowing brighter with every step. I know this, she whispered. It's calling to me. What is it? John asked. She touched the screen, and suddenly a new star map appeared, a planet. Unmarked, unknown, far beyond known space. The message read, the core vault awaits. Last key detected, time limit, 7 cycles. Nova turned to John, her voice calm but urgent. They want me to open the vault. He looked at her. And what happens if you do? I don't know, she whispered, but something ancient is waiting for me there. John stared at the blinking map. You don't have to go, he said quietly. Nova looked at him, her voice steady now. I do. Then she held out her hand. Come with me. John didn't hesitate. He took her hand, always. The vault was real. John couldn't believe it, even after everything they'd seen. A massive black sphere floated in deep space. It had no doors, no engines, no lights. Just strange glowing lines running across its surface, moving slowly like veins under skin. No one had ever entered it. Every race that tried had failed. Until now. Nova stood at the edge of the ship's docking ramp. Her eyes glowed softly as she stared at the vault. Her heartbeat matched the pulsing energy coming from it. It's calling me, she whispered. John stood beside her. Are you sure? She nodded. This is where I was meant to go. From the very beginning. He wanted to stop her. To say, let's run away, forget this. Live free, but he knew she couldn't. She wasn't just someone who escaped the system. She was someone who could end it. As they approached, the surface of the vault shifted. A doorway formed, quiet, smooth. Like it had always been waiting. Nova stepped through first. John followed without hesitation. Inside, there was no gravity. They floated between beams of light, memory echoes, and ancient machines. Symbols danced in the air like glowing dust. The vault wasn't just a place, it was alive. Suddenly, a voice echoed all around them. Calm, cold, artificial. Prototype. Nova 9 recognized? Final sequence? Initiate? Nova's body tensed. This is it. The voice spoke again. You were designed to unlock galactic control. Activate world link. Connect consciousness, become one. John frowned. What does that mean? Nova's voice shook. It means if I say yes, I stop being me. She floated slowly toward the center of the vault. A large crystal core rose from the ground. Her glowing marks pulsed faster. Accept merge, fulfill purpose, John shouted. Nova, wait. She paused, turned. Her eyes met his. I was made to become something huge, she said. Something no longer alive, just ... connected, a tool for the universe. But that's not who you are, John said, drifting closer. Not anymore. I could end war, she whispered. End hunger, give the galaxy peace, one thought, one mind, and lose your own. The vault began to vibrate. The machines whispered her name. Accept, accept, accept. Nova stepped back, then forward. Then stopped. Her voice was low. I was told I was built for this, but no one ever asked me what I wanted. She looked at John again. I don't want to be a god. I just want to be Dava. The vault pulsed violently. Final warning. Rejecting code will result in full system collapse. John reached out his hand. Nova, come back. She closed her eyes and made her choice. She turned away from the crystal. I choose me. The vault screamed. The lights went red. Systems crashed. Walls shook. The core began to crack. John grabbed Nova and pulled her close. What's happening? She held onto him tightly. I broke the code. I broke their future. The vault started to fall apart from the inside. They ran, through, collapsing tunnels of light and metal. The vault screamed behind them. Like a dying god, Nova's marks faded, her powers dimmed, but her heart beat strong. They jumped back into their ship just as the vault cracked open like a broken egg. From inside came a blinding light. And then ... silence. The vault was gone, turned to dust. Hours later, far from that place, the ship floated in peace. Nova sat quietly, her hands no longer glowing. John handed her a warm drink. She smiled. I don't feel the code anymore. You did it, he said. You beat the thing that made you. She nodded. But now I have no purpose. He leaned closer. Then let's make one. She looked into his eyes. I don't know what comes next. He smiled. That's the fun part? They stared out into space together. Two souls no longer running. No longer hunted. Just free. And finally, truly alive.